What's up, everybody? Sam Smyers here. Today, I want to talk about the new AI capabilities of the Synplant 2. Now, this version of Synplant is the first update since it originally came out in about 15 years ago. And the biggest update to the Synplant is the new AI capabilities where it can take a sample and then create a patch based off of that sample. The company that created Synplant is called Sonic Charge, and the creator is Magnus Lindstrom. And he has a post on the website in the forum about the updates to the synth. So you can check this out and see what other updates he made to like the GUI, the graphical user interface, and then also I guess some other things under the hood. This video is not going to be a complete overview of the Synplant 2. I'm just going to focus on the AI capabilities, which is the sample to patch capabilities, which they called the Genopatch. I've been hoping for someone to create this feature for a while, where you can have a sample and then upload it to the synth and then have the synth use AI to create a patch to try to recreate that sample. That takes a lot of work away from me that I have to do. So that would just like make my job so much easier. And this is kind of like the first step toward getting synths to do that. So I want to kind of go over the capabilities, the limitations, and the things that maybe I would find it useful for. Now, when you open this up, it looks pretty similar to the original Synplant. You have the ability to grow these branches, and then you have these options up here. This is the DNA, 1, 2, and 3, envelope and LFO, oscillators, and the filter and effects. This synth, even though it has like randomness to it when you're creating sounds using this wheel here, it's pretty simple under the hood what it can do. It has 2 oscillators and 2 filters and then some mod options, but that's really it. It's not like a complex synth like Serum. It doesn't have all the capabilities of Serum if you actually wanted to go in and make adjustments. This is mainly a tool for like getting ideas and random cool sounds randomly using more of like a visual approach. Up here is where there is this Genopatch, and this is where you load in the reference sound, and then number 2, it says to generate the patch. So you can click on here, it'll open up your Finder, you can load a reference sound, or I found that you can just drag and drop. I've got some one-shots. Let's go through some one-shots and see how it recreates these sounds. These one-shots that I'm going to play, they were all created in Serum. Let's start with this 808. And then you can adjust using these sliders, the selection of the sample. I want the whole sample. I'm gonna hit this little cogwheel and then it's gonna produce these sounds where it's like trying to figure out the sound. And what it does is it makes an adjustment, plays it and compares it to this sample. And then it makes the adjustment in the synth to try and get it closer, and it just runs these processes behind the scenes. And you can click on this little info and then it shows you the amount of tests that it does. And it also shows you the detected pitch. So this is on C, and that is correct. Let's go ahead and hit the generate patches. And as it's doing this, you can see it's running all of these tests. It's running it at about 2,000 tests per second. That means that every single adjustment, it's adjusting little parameters in the synth. I watched a video on the YouTube channel True Cuckoo where the owner of Synplant and creator of Synplant goes through how he created this. And he was saying that he came up with this process about like 10 years ago, but it would take a full day for him to be able to have it recreate a sound or recreate a patch. So the speeds at which this is doing it is like incredibly fast, and this is why he decided to finally release it, because he felt like it was fast enough. Now, if you click on all these nodes, this is where you can get the different types of sounds. And each one is a little bit different. And if you have it highlighted, this is going to be the patch. So I can play this now up and down my keyboard. That is the original sample. That was kind of cool. They're all a bit different. They're not quite the original sample. You can hear at the beginning of the sample, it's got like a bit of distortion and grittiness. And it's getting a bit of knock on some of these. Let's just say we'll pick this one and then go into the DNA. Now we can see how it created this patch. And this is where you have your, let's start with the envelope and the LFO. We can see what is happening with the envelope. And then I can adjust the envelope. So there I was just like holding out a note on the keyboard, and instead of it having a kick sound that decays, it just sustained out. And then you can see what it's doing with the oscillators. There's some FM going on from this oscillator B. So it's sending this kind of like, almost like a sine wave into this sort of like square wave looking thing. And this is where you might be able to get ideas on how to recreate sounds. This is what I would do, is I would maybe, if I had a one shot, I would maybe upload that one shot into Synplant, see how it recreates that one shot, and then go to like my favorite synth, which is Serum, and then try to use some of the parameters that the Synplant use and see if I can get the sound closer in Serum. Now, one thing I noticed is that if I have a sound like this, you can hear that is a stereo sound. If I load it into the Synplant, it's now a mono sound. So this doesn't have the capability to adjust stereo sounds, which I find a bit odd and not very helpful if I have a lot of sounds that are in stereo, which most of my sounds are stereo, except like basses, drum sounds are usually mono. But if I want to have a lead sound that is like stereo and wide and have it recreate that patch, it's not going to be able to do that. So let's just see how this does based upon the mono sound. Because it's still a cool sound, but it's not like wide how I would want it. And you can hear that sometimes it does get wider, like it's adding in some chorus modulation. Let's go ahead and listen to the original. So maybe like I could go with this patch, and then I could go into the DNA and then see how it did, see how it created that. So we've got like a square wave, so a bit of FM, and then this is maybe like a, I don't know, triangle saw wave-ish thing going on that oscillator. And then you can see what's going on with the envelopes. There's only two oscillators. You can't add like multiple voices of unison. The amount of modulation you can actually do on this synth is very limited. What you could do is, now that I have this sound loaded, now you could have a bit of randomness applied by growing these branches. So maybe I do that, and then I could do clone this to all the other branches. And this is where you can just create unique sounds, and then you can go into the DNA, and there's some reverb, which is going to give it like more of a stereo effect. So I think it does do a good job of like creating cool sounds. It doesn't always replicate it exactly, which I wish it were a bit closer, like especially for these super simple one-shot sounds. I wish that it was able to recreate these a bit closer, because a lot of times when you are wanting to recreate a sound, you're not going to have the best one-shot sample that you're going to upload it in. Like, for example, when I'm recreating a sound, it's usually the bass in context in the track, and then I have to try to figure out how they made it. I can't like get the actual one-shot sample that they used and then put it in here and then use that. So it is kind of limited, because you're not always just going to have like a really nice clean one-shot sample. But if you want to generate new interesting sounds off of that one-shot sample, I can see it being useful. Let's go and just try a lead sound. There's just like a mono sound. It should do this one pretty well. And let's play the original. So I'm going through these. I'm just trying to find one that's close enough. I don't think any of these are really that close. So I would have hoped it to be a bit closer. Maybe this one's kind of close. Let's go and let's select that one. I don't know why there's echo on there. Let's go and put that into mono. So that was weird. There's a delay. Let's go ahead and just try to reset this. Let's try like a clap sound. I'm going to take this clap and put it in. So that is, I don't know, that's kind of disappointing that it's not able to create this clap sound. This clap, I think I made this in Serum as well. So none of these really sound usable to me. Maybe you could, because they sound kind of too distorted. Let's try this kick. See how it does with a kick. It did a really good job recreating this kick. I think these kicks are all really good. Maybe you could use this to generate like new kicks in a patch form, and then I can just see how it made this kick. Some weird reverb going on, a filter. I can look at the envelopes, the modulation. That's going to be the pitch modulation. It kind of adds that initial attack. And this is how you would make a kick in like another synth, is you're going to add some like pitch modulation where it goes up and down really fast to get that click sound. And let's see what they used for the oscillators. Kind of like a square wave, and then like, I don't know, square wave-ish thing with some FM amount. Let's try like an atmosphere sound. Like this. I wish there was a way to stop the sound after I press play, because I'm pressing play, but I can't stop it. I have to listen to the whole section. And it's also in mono, which if I were making atmospheres, they're usually going to be stereo. So that I wish it were stereo. Let's go and just see what it comes up with though. And I'm just looking at all the tests again. Now it's going to go all the way to about 40,000. I noticed that it stops at about 40,000 tests. However long it takes to get to that point, I think it depends on probably like your CPU, or maybe your computer that you have. So let's go and check this out, see what we came up with. There's a reference. So pretty close to the reference sound, but my original sound was stereo. But let's go and just check this out on the keyboard. Now let me just give you a final overview of this Genopatch, or this sample to patch AI in the Synplant 2. This is a step in the right direction for sound design and AI. I believe this was always going to happen, where you'd be able to have a sample and then figure out the patch based upon that sample using AI. I think that there are some limitations, and a lot of limitations actually, for what this Synplant 2 can do. I think that I'm just uploading these one-shot sounds that are pretty simple, and I feel like it had trouble even just completing some of these simple one-shots. I do find it a serious limitation that if I have a stereo sound and I upload it into this little reference generator, or where you upload the reference sound, that it converts it and sums it to mono, because then it's just gonna recreate the patch assuming that the sound is mono. But because like most sounds that I have, or that I would want to deconstruct, are going to be like stereo, there's something different in the left and right channel, like maybe it's the reverb, maybe it's the voices of unison. There's not too many sounds that I have that is just like a mono one shot that I would be like, how do I recreate this and recreate a patch out of it? So I think it's kind of limiting as to if I want to have a accurate representation of a sample. Maybe this would be useful for like just generating new ideas, new sounds, getting ideas. For me and for my purpose, I'm not sure how useful it is. Maybe if I just wanted to put in a sound and then see how it created that sound with the oscillators and the filters, maybe that would be helpful. But since it is quite limited, I'm not sure what I would use this synth for, because I feel like I enjoy using Serum a lot. And if something like this came to Serum, then I would definitely want to use it. But I'm not sure if this is enough for me to go and purchase the new Synplant 2. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my Serum preset packs, head on over to store.sansmars.com.